When people ask, is entrepreneurship natural? I think it's the wrong question, right? They ask, can it be taught? I also think that's the wrong question. I think the right question is, can you learn it? And I think I make this argument with all of my engineers. It's like multivariable calculus. Not everybody is ready to learn it, but if you are, you can learn it.
As part of our goal of empowering innovators to positively change the world, the Sutardja Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology created the Berkeley Method of Entrepreneurship. This teaching method allows students to take a journey-based approach to learning innovation by adjusting their mindset, leveraging frameworks, and developing their networks and ecosystem to think like entrepreneurs. The Berkeley Method provides students with immersive experiences that will give them guiding frameworks for future decision-making and will allow them to develop their entrepreneurial skills.
I love it. It's very hands-on. You're actually learning on the fly. If you're just reading off a book, you're probably going to forget it. If you actually do it, then you're probably going to learn about it and you're going to hold that experience forever, right?
One of the most important parts of the Berkeley Method is inductive education. So the Socratic method, where you get to explore an idea through questioning it. The question might already have an answer, but the student going through that process of exploring and discovering the answer builds the muscle memory, right? It builds the neuro paths of doing your own Q&A. Why is this the way it is? Well, I asked that question and had this answer. I was told that's no, so I asked this other question. And if you think about what a startup does, is they go and talk to customers and they ask these questions and they get a no, and then they're like, okay, then I need to look at it differently this way and I need to ask that question. You need that Socratic experience. And what that looks like is sometimes, rather than we give you a lecture up front, we give you an experience, typically a game that you play, and then that experience becomes the case, and you ask questions as a facilitator. Why did you do that? Why did I automatically think that was the solution when I should have explored others? Why did I discount this customer and not that one? So you're training them to be inductive, because again, when you're at the edge and doing something new, there is no textbook to tell you whether you got it right or wrong.
What is Berkeley Method of Entrepreneurship? There's really three components. There's the mindset, there's the frameworks, and there's our network.
The dance of, I'm just going to keep going, I'm going to run through this, but then also being open-minded. So it's like, having really strong beliefs, but at the same time being open to changing and steering the course.
From the beginning, it was our goal, and we were really able to have a really fantastic network of people through Silicon Valley and around the world that were entrepreneurs, that were successful in starting companies. And we look at the case that what happened and what's written down about what they did. You look at the case and you say there's only half the story, because when you meet the person, you get the other half of the story. There's not any one type of these people, but they all have these certain common behaviors and mindsets, and they're open in certain ways, and they're not afraid to say in some ways what is true. We also have to identify what are these behaviors and mindsets and provide experiences where you can practice them. So whether that's a game or an exercise, an example could be that entrepreneurs get a lot of rejection. They have to ask a lot of people before someone says, yes, I will fund that. And so a potential game might be, well, go out onto the street and ask for something very unreasonable and just hear people say no to you 20 times. You realize you can ask for something and it's okay that the answer is no.
We also have communication games to show how you think you're communicating properly, but the other person actually isn't understanding you. You can see it so clearly, but as you try to transfer that knowledge to an engineer or to a designer to build it, something's going to be lost. And that frustration that can emerge can break teams. And it creates empathy. Once you see that, you can see how difficult it is to birth an idea.
The first feedback we got from investors is that you're targeting too small of a market. And for VCs, if your total addressable market is not through 5 billion or more, they're going to completely ignore your company.
A lot of entrepreneurship programs focus on just one framework, right? It's the lean canvas and the lean startup process. Just seen way too many, and typically comes out of business schools, an impulse to try to do this cookie cutter, just use this one framework. And we've seen a lot of promising companies and teams die on that rock when they don't need to. But what we try to do is encourage students to explore many different kinds of frameworks. And ultimately, we need them to create new frameworks.
Every single instructor themselves, either they're an investor, either they are entrepreneurs themselves, or they have been doing projects related to startup.
Really, the core value of being in a program like this is to meet your future co-founders.
We really made it strong by making sure that that network of people that we were bringing in was a highly capable and high quality set of people.
We wanted to create an environment in which engineers could learn how to start companies with non-engineers. And this is why we call our center an innovation collider. It is an experiment on how do you get people who value different things. An engineer will value something that is fewest lines of code, that is the most elegantly designed whatever that you're building. An entrepreneur wants to make money from it, right? And so their value set is, does this create value for the person I'm trying to sell it to? And these are totally different ways of looking at possibly the same problem set, right? So how do you get these two very different ways of looking at the world to align? And if school hasn't given you that experience, you're going to be at a very big disadvantage when you have to do that as an entrepreneur.